so honored to be interviewing a very special guest. She's a top rated psychiatrist in Seattle, a gifted speaker, therapist, and author, Dr. Rozina Lakhani. Hi, Dr. Rozina.
Hi, Lenore.
Yeah, hi. Would you kindly give us a brief background about how the book Stress to Joy came about?
Well, I have been a psychiatrist for 20 years, so I see patients who are very depressed. I specialize in treatment of resistant depression. And so by the time people come to me, they are pretty far in their disease state. And in addition to medications, we have to sometimes use advanced treatment. But as they start getting better, we still have to teach them how to train their mind, how to manage the stress better so they can prevent depression from happening again. And so I was always wanted to bring those techniques out to people who are not depressed yet, who may be struggling with stressors in their life. And if we can teach those tools to the people, they may avoid becoming so depressed and they don't have to become my patients. um, so that was kind of going in the background, but things were kind of getting delayed. And in 2004, I had a big stressor in my own life. I was coming home from work and I kind of zoned out and got into a car accident and broke my right hand.
Oh,
And if somebody has gone through similar situation, they could relate to. But sometimes we don't realize how important each part of the body is, and simply breaking the small bone under your thumb may not sound big, but just losing your ability to work with your right hand, if you're right hand dominant, affects all aspects of your life. And so I really went through a significant stressor in my own life, where when you have a 5-year-old kid who and you can't take care of them, you can't even zip up your own pants, or open the food jars, or make phone calls, or write, and so many things you do with your dominant hand, and you never realize until you lose it. So I I was going through a little down phase myself. After a month or so, my husband took me to meet with the relatives, and I was have to go in the shower. I took the shower, and then I was waiting for somebody to come help me because I could not dress myself. And all my family was downstairs, and I was in the bathroom upstairs, so they couldn't hear me. And so I couldn't come out. And so I went inside again, and I was so angry and I was feeling so helpless that I started banging the wall of shower with my left hand. And I had an epiphany. Said, I'm banging wall of shower with my left hand. What if I would have lost my left hand too? What if I would have lost my eyes, or my mind, or my life? And so I started appreciating the things that I still had. And I started writing my gratitude journal. And over the years, I learned a lot of other tools that I was teaching other people, but I applied in my life, and uh, got through that stressful phase of my life. And then I really wanted to get those tools to people, so that they could also benefit. And over the 10 years of collecting those tools and techniques, it became the program called Stress to Joy, and this book came out.
wow, great story. Please tell us how we can let go of worry through the crossroad technique, which you mentioned in your book, Stress to Joy.
Well, that is a really cool technique, and a lot of my patients love it. It just kind of came about working with people who would worry a lot. So let's say I had a patient who was worried about losing her job, and so constantly worrying about losing the job was making her very stressed at work. and her performance was getting affected because she was constantly worrying. So I asked her, like, what are the chances of you losing the job? And she said, maybe 10%. I said, what are the chances of you keeping the job? And she says, maybe 90%. So her mind was constantly going on to those 10% chance of losing the job, but not the 90% that she can actually keep the job. So I said, okay, you are at point A. You don't know what's going to happen at point B in future. There's a chance that you may still keep the job, and there's a chance that you may lose the job. Now, you have right now option of either thinking positive. If you think positive and things go positive, then you can be happy all along. If you think negative that you're going to lose the job, and if you um, uh, do lose the job, first you would suffer in your brain that and then actually when you're going to lose the job, you'll suffer again. So you'll end up suffering twice. And I said, do you really want to suffer twice? And she said, no. And so the other thing is that if you're thinking negative, let's say you constantly worry about losing the job, but you don't lose the job, you would have suffered for no reason. And I said, do you want to really suffer for no reason? And she said, no. And so what can you do? So the negative thought, what if I lose the job, is automatic. You can't control the thought coming to you. But what you can do is when the thought comes, you can shift the thought. So we develop this mantra. I choose not to suffer before suffering. I will deal with the problem if it happens, when it happens. See, she didn't know if it's going to happen and when it's going to happen in future. And I'm going to focus on and take steps towards the results I want rather than the results I don't want. And so as she started doing the mantra, I choose not to suffer before suffering. I will deal with the problem if it happens, when it happens, and I'm going to focus on and take steps for the results I want rather than the results I don't want. Her negative thoughts started going down. And if you try this in your life and something you're worried about, you'll see the negative thought would come back after 5 minutes. You again say the mantra, and gradually the number of negative thoughts coming to your mind would decrease, and the amount of time between the negative thoughts would increase. So you will be able to gradually get over these worrying thoughts. And because when I draw this, your choice is to think positive, and things may go positive or things may go negative. And if you think negative, it kind of makes a little cross. So we started calling it Crossroad technique. So you have the choice. And you don't have the choice of thought coming to you, but you have the choice of shifting your thought and making it positive from negative.
Awesome technique. You mentioned another technique, which is the self-dialogue journal. Could you kindly give us a brief walkthrough of that technique?
Well, that was also a really practical technique that came about when I was talking to a patient. She was a nurse, and she was telling me how it was really hard for her to make time for her own self-care. Life is so busy, you're running between this thing and that thing, and it's really hard to give priority to your self-care. And so at that time, we went through different ideas and brainstormed what she can do. And as I was brainstorming with her, I was feeling, oh my God, Rozina, listen to yourself, because I was going through the same issue myself. I was having back pain, and I wanted to go for a chiropractic appointment, and I just felt really guilty if I had to cancel my patient's appointment to make my own appointment. So anyways, I was kind of going through that phase. So that weekend I sat down and I started I realized that I'm a very good advisor to my patients, but it is very hard to be advisor to myself. So I wrote a dialogue between a patient and a doctor. where I was the patient and I was the doctor. And I started telling myself, okay, I'm feeling frustrated and I'm feeling helpless and I'm feeling stuck and I can't take care of myself. And so as a doctor, I was advising, maybe you can do this, maybe you can do that. And so we talked about how um, so in the dialogue, I am talking to myself and I say, okay, what is the issue? Well, the issue is I need to find time for my own self-care. So what are your options? Options is, oh, I can take a day off, or I can cancel appointments, or I can do this and I can do that. And then my own kind of self is arguing, yes, but I can't do this. Yes, but I can't afford to take the whole day off. Yes, but I can't do this. My patients would suffer and stuff like that. And so as I going through dialogue within myself, um, what are the options? And then I picked up a choice. I said, okay, I can't take the whole day off, but maybe I can consolidate one Friday a month where I can see all the patients for 6 hours and take 3 hours block once a month, where I would schedule my own doctor's appointments. And my mind accepted that. So so at the end of that self dialogue that I wrote, I felt as if a big burden was taken off my shoulder. Although it took another month to schedule the time for my self care, I still felt lighter. So I started calling it Self Dialogue Journal, and since then I have taught it to many people. I've had patients who have been teachers who would make a dialogue between a teacher and student, or a mother would write a dialogue between mother and daughter, or a friend would write a dialogue between the two friends. And what I've seen is that what helps is when we are usually kinder to other people than ourselves. And so when you're advising somebody else, you kind of get out of yourself and your inner wisdom comes out. And so I find this power in this technique where you are doing a self dialogue and you are advising somebody you care about, and usually the suggestions you come up with are applicable in your life. And so I say, okay, now you have the solution. Now follow your own advice.
Wow, that's such a powerful technique. Now, Dr. Rozina, please tell us about your upcoming projects or events and where can we find more about you and your work?
Um, my upcoming projects include several things. In addition to the book and the audio book, I have also developed a 21-day online program, which includes the videos and worksheets and um, mindfulness exercises, where we go in more detail of the same um, issues that we briefly touch in the book, where first week focuses on basic formulas and three basic steps of stress to joy, and then we go into what techniques you can use if you are overwhelmed with work, or if you are having emotional eating, or if you're having irritability problem or sleep problem or a worrying problem, stuff like that. And the third week, we go through different habits of happiness and resilience building, um, that I remember with the acronym COMPASS. And so that program is going to be now also available in form of a monthly membership, where I would also have once a month Q&A session where participants can ask the questions and we can go in detail of those techniques that could help them. So that is one major project. And the second major project is a Stress to Joy Summit that is going to be coming in October. And we would talk about how to transform stressors in different aspects of life along the wheel of life, whether it be your work stress or health stress or parenting stress or relationship stress, and how to transform stressors in those areas into opportunities for growth. So those are the two major projects that we are working on at this time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rozina, for a very insightful interview, and more power to you and good luck in your upcoming projects and events.
Thank you.